Hello and welcome. You're watching the News at 6 with me, Shan Russell. The News at 6 is all about the day's biggest developing stories and we'll be filling in on them over the next half hour. But first, the headlines that we're tracking right now. India hits out at Pakistan for raising the killing of terrorist Burhan Wani and Kashmir at the UN, calls it a country that covets territory of others and uses terrorism as state policy. India sends 2 aircraft to war-torn South Sudan. External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj calls on all stranded Indian nationals to move out quickly, says evacuation might not be possible if the situation deteriorates. Congress announces Sheila Dikshit as its Chief Minister candidate in Uttar Pradesh. 3-time Delhi Chief Minister thanks Party Chief Sonia Gandhi for reposing faith in her. And Theresa May takes charge as Prime Minister of Britain, affirms its intention to lead country out of the European Union, asks European Union leaders for time to prepare the path. Our top story this evening, India and Pakistan sparred at the world stage at the UN General Assembly, debated on the issue of human rights. In what is being seen as the most hard-hitting response to date to Pakistan, India has said that the country extols the virtues of terrorists and uses terrorism as a state policy. India has also asked Pakistan to stay out of its internal matters. Meanwhile, the situation in Kashmir remains tense, with the curfew continuing for the 6th day.
India has hit out strongly at Pakistan for raising the issue of killing of Hizbul Mujahideen commander Burhan Wani at the UN. India's ambassador to the UN, Syed Akbaruddin, accused Pakistan of extolling the virtues of terrorists and using terrorism as a state policy towards the misguided end of coveting the territory of others. India's response came in the wake of Pakistan's envoy Maliha Lodhi's remarks on Kashmir and Wani's killing while speaking during a debate on human rights at the 193-member UN General Assembly. In her statement, Lodhi called the killing of Wani as extrajudicial, describing him as a Kashmiri leader.
Terrorism is terrorism. No amount of parsing or justification on the part of Pakistan is going to change that. Second, our internal affairs are solely ours to handle. Any effort by any other party claiming it as theirs or trying to interfere and seeking to internationalize the issue will not change that reality.
Akbaruddin also pointed out that Pakistan has repeatedly failed to convince the international community that it should gain membership of the Human Rights Council, most recently in this very session of the UNGA.
केवल वो इंटरनल मामला नहीं रहा, बाहर से भी लोग इसमें कुछ आग डालने के लिए प्रयास कर रहे हैं. सबको मालूम हो गया वो दोनों हिजबुल मुजाहिदीन और दूसरा संगठन, दोनों लश्कर तोयबा, दोनों ने मिलकर उन्होंने ओपन स्टेटमेंट भी दिया मदद करते हुए. इट शुड बी द एंडेवर ऑफ एवरीबॉडी टू सी दैट दिस टेररिस्ट आर आइसोलेटेड. दे आर नॉट ओनली कंडेम्ड, दे आर आइसोलेटेड. दे शुड नॉट बी कंडोन्ड फॉर पॉलिटिकल रीजंस.
Meanwhile, the situation in Kashmir remains tense, with the curfew continuing for the 6th day on Thursday. Heavily armed policemen and security personnel are patrolling the streets to prevent any untoward incident. Markets wore a deserted look and schools and offices remained shut in Srinagar. Traffic too stayed off the roads. Mobile internet services continue to be suspended in parts of the valley. Air and rail services have also been affected. The unrest has affected the supply of essential items to the interior districts as arterial roads are blocked. The situation in Kashmir took a turn for the worse after 22-year-old Burhan Wani, a commander of Hizbul Mujahideen, was gunned down by security forces. At least 34 people have been killed so far in the clashes that followed, while over 1,500 have been wounded. The UN has expressed concern over the situation, with Secretary General Ban Ki-moon calling on all parties to exercise maximum restraint to avoid further violence. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
India today launched Operation Sankat Mochan to evacuate citizens stranded in South Sudan's capital, Juba City. 2 Indian Air Force C-17 military aircraft reached Juba and are expected to bring back the first batch of evacuees on Friday. Currently, a ceasefire exists in South Sudan's capital, which witnessed heavy fighting between the forces of the president and the vice president last week.
The Indian government has launched Operation Sankat Mochan to evacuate around 600 stranded citizens in South Sudan's capital, Juba, which has been the center of violence in recent days. Two C-17 military transport aircraft reached Juba to begin the evacuation. The operation is being headed by Minister of State for External Affairs, V.K. Singh.
भारतीयों ने कहा कि उनको दिक्कत है, वहाँ पर एक तरह से गृह युद्ध है और हमारा पूरा प्रयत्न रहेगा कि हम सबको यहाँ पर सुरक्षित लेकर आएं और हमेशा अपने देश का जो भरोसा है इस सरकार पर उसको पूरा करें.
The Indian embassy in South Sudan has alerted Indians in Juba about the evacuation plan, and the first batch of evacuees are expected to land in India on Friday. Earlier, External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj held a high-level meeting to review the situation in the country.
Both aircrafts will first travel to Entebbe in Uganda for a refueling halt of approximately 3 hours. From Entebbe, they will depart for India, first landing in Thiruvananthapuram early tomorrow morning and thereafter coming to Delhi.
Germany also started evacuating its citizens as well as those from several other countries, while China transferred its injured UN peacekeepers to Uganda. Forces loyal to longtime rivals Vice President Riek Machar and President Salva Kiir fought street battles in the capital during a 5-day period until a ceasefire was reached on July 11th. Machar has now withdrawn with his troops to the outskirts of Juba and says he is not planning a war, but the situation remains fragile. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
The Congress party has finalized its new team for the assembly polls in Uttar Pradesh. While Sheila Dikshit has been made the chief ministerial candidate, party MP and Gandhi family loyalist Sanjay Singh will lead the party's campaign committee, while RPN Singh will be the vice president of the UPCC.
आप सीएम कैंडिडेट कहिए या पार्टी का चेहरा कहिए, किसी भाषा में श्रीमती शीला दीक्षित.
Desperate to salvage its image in Uttar Pradesh, where it has been out of power for more than 3 decades, Congress finally bit the bullet by naming former Delhi Chief Minister Sheila Dikshit as the party's face and chief ministerial candidate for the state. While Sheila herself termed it as a huge challenge, General Secretary in charge of the state, Ghulam Nabi Azad, put up a strong defense against the corruption allegation on the former tail.
मैं तो समझती हूँ कि हमें जिम्मेदारी दी है, विश्वास जो मिला उसके लिए मैं बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देती हूँ अपनी पार्टी.
करप्शन के आरोप हजारों करोड़ के छत्तीसगढ़ के मुख्यमंत्री पर भी हैं और राजस्थान के मुख्यमंत्री पर भी हैं और कई आरोप मध्य प्रदेश के मुख्यमंत्री पर भी हैं. हाँ, अगर वो 3 मुख्यमंत्री इन आरोपों के आधार पर इस्तीफा देते हैं तो हम भी अपना चेहरा वापस लेने के लिए तैयार हैं.
Congress also formed a coordination committee and campaign committee to accommodate other senior leaders from the state unit.
कैंपेन कमेटी के चेयरमैन हैं डॉक्टर संजय सिंह एमपी. इसके कन्वीनर यानी संयोजक हैं जफर अली नकवी साहब. इसी के साथ ही कोऑर्डिनेशन कमेटी एक बनी है, उसके चेयरमैन हैं श्री प्रमोद तिवारी एमपी.
Senior party leaders, however, evaded questions on speculation about Priyanka Gandhi playing a bigger role during the assembly polls in Uttar Pradesh. Just 2 days ago, Congress had given the reins of the state unit to actor-turned-politician and Rajya Sabha MP Raj Babbar. Vishal Daya, Rajya Sabha TV, Delhi.
And for more on the story, let's go across to our correspondent Vishal Daya, who's been tracking it. Vishal, finally the Congress, it seems, has come out with what it thinks is its dream team. But in terms of political capital in the state, in terms of the caste combinations that the party is looking for, what's it hoping to achieve?
Well, if you look at the political combinations and caste combinations, Ishan, then it's quite clear Raj Babbar is considered to be a caste-neutral leader, and that was a decision which was more or less 2 days ago announced because of the simple fact that the party insiders believe that making a person from a particular caste the president of the state unit will not send good signal to the other caste. But then this particular, cementings or this particular arithmetic could not have worked in every other post. That's why finally the party has, chosen to zero in on the trusted, tried hand of Sheila Dikshit, though she's not had a political outing in the state of Uttar Pradesh. She's been the Chief Minister of Delhi for 3 consecutive terms, but then lost the elections miserably as well, which obviously the Congress attributes that humiliating election loss to the tactics being deployed by the opposition. But coming back to Uttar Pradesh, Ishan, very interesting to note out here is that there have been a number of committees which have been made, and almost all senior leaders of party state unit have been accommodated in one way or the other to ensure that there is no sort of ill will amongst those leaders. Now it's going to be a real huge challenge for Sheila Dikshit, Raj Babba and their team, and it's going to be a very, very, very tough task to take party from the place where it stands in the politics in the state of Uttar Pradesh. And let's not forget the fact that the party has not tasted power in this particular state for more than 3 decades now. So it's going to be a really, really tough task.
A tough task indeed. And the Congress was also, I mean, it's been doing the rounds for a while now, Vishal, about Priyanka Gandhi taking the plunge into politics full time. And it seems that the party has deferred a decision on that for now.
It seems so as of now, Ishan, because the party senior leadership chose not to bring an end to that speculation. They did not, either deny this particular piece of information completely, nor did they clarify as whether or not a decision has been taken. So clearly, as of now, things stand where it is. Although there have been several meetings between Priyanka Gandhi and the General Secretary in charge of the state of Uttar Pradesh, Ghulam Nabi Azad, and those meetings we have been given to understand by our sources were obviously about the strategy for Uttar Pradesh, but it seems the party would not want to go ahead and bring Priyanka to the fore so early. They might wait a little more for at least a month or 2 months. Might be at the time around when the elections are announced, the party might bring Priyanka to the front. But then that is something which is still shrouded in mystery.
All right, and Vishal will unravel that mystery if it ever unravels. Thanks very much, Vishal, for coming in and helping us out with what has been happening behind the scenes in the Congress party. But meanwhile, another state where the Congress party is back in power suddenly is Arunachal Pradesh, and the moves to install a government over there gathered pace today with reports that the governor had asked Chief Minister Nabam Tukhi of the Congress to prove his majority in a trust vote. Meanwhile, the rebel group led by Kaliko Pul said that was unseated by the Supreme Court order yesterday, has also claimed that it has the numbers.
Rebel Congress leader Kaliko Pul on Thursday claimed there is no threat to his government. Pul, whose government in Arunachal Pradesh was declared invalid by the Supreme Court on Wednesday, said he respected the apex court's judgment but asked everyone to wait for the floor test in the assembly.
60 members को बुलाया गया था, बुला करके रात को ब्लैंक पेपर में साइन करने दिया उसका सपोर्ट में, उसको लेटर टाइप करके रिजिग्नेशन में कन्वर्ट कर दिया, रिजिग्नेशन में कन्वर्ट करके 2 को अनसीटेड कर दिया और फिर 14 मेंबर्स का अभी भी पड़ा हुआ है उनके पास.
Pul, who showed the support of 32 MLAs, said he formed a new party and followed legal and constitutional procedures.
6 जनवरी को प्रेसिडेंट रूल हुआ है, 19 फरवरी को रिवोक हुआ है. तो हम लोग ने 32 मेंबर्स परेड करके गवर्नर का सामने परेड करके हम लोग ने गवर्नमेंट फॉर्मेशन के लिए हम लोग ने अपील किया गवर्नर का सामने. तो वो प्रेसिडेंट का प्रोक्लेमेशन से तुकी साहब आउट हुआ है, सीएम, not because of that 15-16 assembly proceeding, not because of 13 Guwahati High Court judgment.
With a majority government already in place in the state, the centre is likely to seek clarification from the Supreme Court on the verdict restoring status quo ante as on December 15, 2015 in the State Assembly. Reports quoted BJP sources stating that the government may also ask whether former Chief Minister Nabam Tukhi will have to prove majority on the floor of the House or Kaliko Pul.
That there is a government there that has won the vote of confidence on the floor of the House. That's one aspect. The other aspect is also critical that the Congress party may have a leader in Mr. Tukhi, but his MLAs or the Congress party MLAs had left the party. So that's a party without any actual MLAs. So perhaps the situation will unfold itself in totality on the floor of the House.
Meanwhile, Congress President Sonia Gandhi stepped up her party's attack on the Modi government. She accused it of disrespecting people's mandate in its greed of power. Other opposition parties also criticized the government at the centre.
The institutions of the governor, the Raj Bhavan, is to protect the Constitution of India, custodian of the law. So instead of protecting the Constitution of India, he has misused the power and positions. I will bring house in order.
In an unprecedented verdict, the Supreme Court ordered restoration of the Congress government in Arunachal by quashing all decisions of the governor, holding them violative of the constitution. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Time for us to take a short break. Lots more on the other side. Do stay tuned.
Indian pharma has done excellent in generic medicine. We are the number 3 in the world market. Now the pharma industry is entering into a biopharma. That is a new trend of pharmaceutical industry.
Watch Eureka with Dr. Kiran Kalia, Director, Naipur, Ahmedabad, only on Rajya Sabha TV.
Welcome back. You're watching the news at 6. Now, the Election Commission today deferred the hearing on the 21 Aam Aadmi Party MLAs in the Office of Profit case till the 21st of July. The Election Commission had to start a personal hearing of the MLAs who were made parliamentary secretaries and are facing the risk of disqualification from the Assembly. The MLAs sought a personal hearing in their reply to the notice by the EC in June. The AAP announced the appointment of the 21 MLAs, stating that they will assist the Delhi government ministries on the 13th of March 2015.
आज की प्रोसीडिंग में केवल मात्र ये हुआ कि जो अजय माकन जी ने इम्प्लीड करने के लिए अपने आप को एप्लीकेशन दी थी, उसकी कॉपी सभी एमएलएस को नहीं पहुंची है। वो दे दी जाएगी आज 21 तारीख को जवाब हम देंगे।
The wholesale price index in the month of June increased to 1.62% compared to 0.79% in May. WPI inflation level now remains in the positive domain for the third month after staying in the negative territory for 17 months.
Rising prices of food articles pushed up the wholesale price index sharply to 1.6% in June. Food inflation jumped to 8.18% in June from 7.88% in May. Vegetable prices rose up by 16.91%, pulses by 26.61% and potatoes by as much as 64.48%. The WPI data comes after retail inflation in June surged to a 22-month high of 5.77%. Corporate India is expecting RBI to lower rates to nurture growth, but chances of another rate cut look bleak given that retail inflation jumped 5.77% higher than the RBI's annual target of 5%.
Banks have yet to pass on those benefits to the consumer. Maybe that they are consolidating and they are cleaning up their balance sheet. Shacham would have wished that the interest rate should further be liberalized, but I think this is not a very opportune time to be working on that.
The August 9th policy meeting will be the last for Governor Raghuram Rajan, whose 3-year term ends in early September. Between January 2015 and April 2016, he cut the repo rate by 150 basis points to 6.5%.
The RBI had earlier cited several uncertainties regarding price trends, including a rebound in oil prices and implementation of 7th Pay Commission. With the RBI Governor Raghuram Rajan deciding not to seek a second term, taming inflation appears to be a huge task for his successor. Reporting from Delhi with camera person Prashanta, I'm Kriti Mishra for Rajya Sabha Television.
Vice President Mohammad Hawid Ansari arrived in the Mongolian capital Ulaanbaatar to attend the 11th Asia-Europe Meeting Summit. He was received at the Genghis Khan International Airport by P. Sangan, the head of the Mongolian president's administration. The 2-day ASEM summit will be held from tomorrow. The theme for this year is 20 years of ASEM, partnership for the future through connectivity. ASEM serves to bridge the two continents of Asia and Europe for constructive partnership and exchange. It comprises 53 entities, 51 countries from Asia and Europe, and 2 regional bodies, the European Union and the ASEAN Secretariat. The Vice President will also hold bilateral meetings with a few other participating leaders on the sidelines at the summit. And for more on this, let's go across to our correspondent Aishwarya Kapoor, who's been tracking the story and is traveling over there. Aishwarya, if you can just fill us in on the engagements that the Vice President is supposed to have, and indeed an important conference, this one, to bridge the gap between Asia and Europe.
Absolutely, Ishan. It is going to be a very important summit, especially because it is coming at a very crucial time, considering the fact that there has been the Brexit, there has been some terrorism issues that are plaguing the leaders of both Asia and Europe. So this is a very interesting forum because it combines the leaders and the countries of both Asia and Europe. So this will be a very important common platform that will address these issues. Now tomorrow this summit is going to start, and we'll have leaders from around 53 countries from Asia and Europe who will be sitting and discussing on these important issues, especially the issues of terrorism, the Brexit and its impact on the world economy. These are going to be very important issues that are going to be addressed. After this, the Vice President also expected to have bilateral meetings with some of the leaders there, and also with the Mongolian leadership there. So a very important day lined up tomorrow.
All right, Aishwarya Kapoor, we'll keep a track of all those developments as they happen in Ulaanbaatar for us. Thanks very much, Aishwarya, for joining us for now. Now, moving on to some other international news, and hours after taking over as Prime Minister of Britain, Theresa May said she was committed to lead the country out of the European Union, but asked EU leaders for time to prepare for the exit. She also revamped her cabinet, giving Brexit campaigner Boris Johnson the job of Foreign Secretary and sacking Michael Gove.
Conservative Party leader Theresa May has taken charge as the Prime Minister of Britain, replacing David Cameron. May said it would be her mission to build a better Britain and remained committed to lead the country out of the European Union.
Following the referendum, we face a time of great national change. And I know, because we're Great Britain, that we will rise to the challenge. As we leave the European Union, we will forge a bold, new, positive role for ourselves in the world. And we will make Britain a country that works not for a privileged few, but for every one of us.
May, only the second woman Prime Minister of the UK, has sought time for the Brexit talks, but EU leaders have urged her not to delay the divorce proceedings. German Chancellor Angela Merkel has invited her for talks in Berlin.
Unsere Aufgabe ist es, mit Regierungen befreundeter Länder sehr eng zusammenzuarbeiten, und die Welt hat genügend Probleme, auch die außenpolitische Zusammenarbeit gut voranzubringen, so wie wir das.
Soon after taking charge, May made several key changes to the cabinet. Former London Mayor Boris Johnson was appointed Foreign Secretary, and Philip Hammond was given charge of the Finance Ministry after George Osborne resigned from the post. David Davis has been appointed to the new cabinet position of Brexit Secretary. He will be leading the country's negotiations for EU exit. May appointed former Energy Secretary Amber Rudd to take on her former role of Home Secretary.
I don't believe we will need an emergency budget. We will work through the summer to assess the situation the economy is in. We will make an autumn statement in the usual way, and then a budget in the spring.
May has the mammoth task of pulling out of an uncertain future following the country's decision to leave the European Union. David Cameron resigned from the PM's post after the referendum vote. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Some more international news now and Global Buzz. A news agency linked to the terrorist outfit, the Islamic State, today confirmed the death of key leader Omar Shishani. The Amaq news agency said Shishani was killed in the town of Shirkat, south of Mosul in Iraq. This was the first time the group confirmed his death. Shishani is a close military advisor to the Islamic State leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. China's foreign ministry on Thursday denied involvement in the case of a Chinese man who was sentenced in the US for military hacking. The ministry said reports of China hacking the US banking regulator were extremely irresponsible. Chinese businessman Su Bin, who pleaded guilty in March to hack into the computer networks of Boeing, was sentenced on Wednesday to nearly 4 years in prison. He was arrested in Canada in 2014 and extradited to the United States. Torrential rains battered central Japan on Thursday. Japan's Met Agency announced a rain and flood warning in the early afternoon in central Japan. 50 millimeters of rain was expected to fall around the Kanto region during Thursday evening, along with lightning and strong winds, including tornadoes. US Secretary of State John Kerry on Thursday heaped praise on the Iran nuclear agreement on the occasion of its one-year anniversary. Kerry said he believed it had made the world safer and lived up to its expectations. His comments came a day after the House of Representatives passed legislation to block the purchase of heavy water from Iran, defying President Barack Obama's veto threat. German Chancellor Angela Merkel today said it will take time to improve Russia-EU relations damaged by the annexation of Crimea. In a statement, Merkel said she believes that everyone agrees it is right to resolve issues diplomatically, but this would take some time. She added that if those involved showed good intent, then the crisis can be managed. Time now for all the action from the world of sports and Sports Beat. Ramkumar Ramanathan will take on South Korea's Seong Chan-hong in the first singles match at the Davis Cup Asia-Oceania Group 1 tie on Friday. Saket Maineni will square off against Yong Kyu Lim in the second singles match. In the doubles category, the Indian pair of Rohan Bopanna and Leander Paes will take on Hong Chung and Yun Seong Chung. National Anti-Doping Agency Director General Naveen Agarwal today said that all the Rio Olympic-bound sportspersons are dope-free. He said they have undergone testing for banned substances. Agarwal added for those training abroad, NADA has hired some agencies to collect samples there and have tested the samples of all those athletes. Wimbledon champion Andy Murray will miss Britain's Davis Cup quarter-final clash against Serbia. Murray, who helped Britain to their first Davis Cup victory since 1936, had suggested it was unlikely that he would feature against Serbia. Kyle Edmonds and James Ward will lead the British teams in the singles. In the doubles, Murray's brother Jamie Murray will partner double specialist Dominic Inglot. David Saker has been named as Australia's new full-time assistant coach, taking over the role vacated by Craig McDermott earlier this year. Saker is also expected to step in as Australia's acting head coach at some point next year to give Darren Lehmann a break. That's all from us. Goodbye.